Do you want to know what the best selling LEGO idea sets were in the last 6 months? Well, stay tuned and let's talk about it. G'day everyone and welcome back to the channel. In this video we are talking about the top 5 best selling LEGO idea sets over the last 6 or so months. Now I am going to be using data from Bricklink because that is the only thing I have access to with actual sales numbers. You can use like eBay and stuff, but it only goes back only a few months, and I wanted to see what has been selling the most in the different themes over the last 6 to 12 months. And we're going to be starting with 6 months because that's what we do have access to with Bricklink. Now the sets that I am counting on this list are ones that are currently available and may have only just recently retired in the last couple of weeks. So I'm not counting any of the older sets, I'm just counting the ones that have been available, and we're going to look for it kind of as in from an investment point of view, just to see which sets do have the higher demand. Now some have just retired and some have currently recently come out, and some have been out for a little while, like the Central Perk. But let's get into it. Central Perk is number 5 on the list. If we go have a gaze at the Bricklink numbers, as I said, this is what the numbers we are just going to be looking at in today's video. We can see that the last 6 month sales, now this is worldwide by the way, it does have in Australian dollars, but this is just converting all the sales into Australian dollars, just total, so it's easier to see per country is different currency. But we can see that last 6 months sales, new, we are looking at new by the way, not used, total quantity is 104. So that means that 104 of these sets have been sold in the last 6 months. Now this is the 5th most best-selling LEGO ID set. I've done the numbers on every other single one, and this comes out at number 5 with 104. But 104 sales in the last 6 months, so it's still going strong despite the fact that it has been out for over 3 years. Now the next set at number 4 is the 123 Sesame Street. Now this set has just recently retired. It was scheduled to retire at the end of last year, and it's just that LEGO is just phasing out the remainder of the stock. Obviously here in Australia and a couple of other countries overseas, it has officially retired. But this is number 4 in the best selling LEGO ideas the last 6 months, and as we can see from the numbers down here, a total of 130 have sold in the last 6 months. Reasons for it having one of the highest numbers selling in LEGO ideas: it's Sesame Street, it's one of a kind, it's got a whole lot of exclusive figures, very, very reminiscent of everyone's childhood. If you did watch this show, pretty much every child growing up, at least, I believe that this show did come out in the 50s, so it's been out for a good chunk of time, so everyone has heard of Sesame Street, so it's no surprise that it has been selling quite well. But it has just retired, so if there is some still available online or even on shelves at your local retailers, just be wary that it is currently going through the process of being retired, and once it's gone, and you're going to have to start paying that extra fee and be able to pick it up. But pick it up while you can because it is gone, and that is number 4. Number 3 is the newly released The Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh, set number 21333. Now, as I said, this one has only just kind of recently come out. If we go and have a look at the numbers, we can see that it is sitting at about 143 sold total. Now, a big chunk of that, as you can see, this one person actually did buy 38 of them. So you can either go off of the time sold, which would be the individual buyers, and the total quantity is obviously how many sets that they did buy. Because like, for example, in this transaction, 4 were bought, 38 were bought, 10 were bought, etc. But 143 were bought in total, and that is the average price in Australian dollars compared to, obviously, the retail price that it is here in Australia. But beautiful looking set, one of my favorite of the newer LEGO ID sets that have been released. We'll see how long. It's not scheduled to retire this year, could be next year, could be the year after, but a beautiful, beautiful set. And in the number 2 spot is the NASA Apollo Saturn V, set number 92176. 170 bucks here in Australia. This is a set that has also just recently retired in the last couple of weeks, the end of last year. If we go have a look at the Bricklink numbers, and this is the reissue version as well. They did have an original NASA Apollo Saturn V, which was out a few years prior to this one, and then they did re-release it with this one. That's why it's got that reissue in the brackets there. If we go down, we can see that this has 214 total quantity sold, so a bit of a jump from our previous entry with 143, and similar to it has those numbers are made up by a good chunk of these sold in one transaction pretty much, but 214 sold of this space set. And then in our number 1 spot is the best selling in the last 6 months on Bricklink is the International Space Station. So the 2 space sets that have retired were actually at number 1 and number 2, which is some interesting information, especially from a LEGO investing standpoint. So this is set number 21321, International Space Station. As I said, this one is just retired as well in the last couple of weeks. You can probably see one behind me just at the back here. I've got quite a few of these. I've just got one on display. It was quite tricky to get here in the last 6 months in Australia, and it is already performing quite well. But if we go and have a look at Bricklink, we can see that 220 of these were sold in the last 6 months on Bricklink, and there is your average price. This set here in Australia is doing quite well on eBay. I believe it's selling for like 150, 160 bucks, which is about 50, 60 bucks above retail, and it's only just retired. So good signs for this set if you were investing in it. But that was number 1. So as I said, we've got number 5 was the Central Perk, then the Sesame Street, Starry Night, Apollo Saturn V, and the International Space Station. But anyway guys, if you did enjoy this type of video, please smash a like button and let me know down below if you'd like me to continue with a few other different themes and go over which were kind of the best selling sets, at least on Bricklink in the last 6 months, because it can be a good indicator as well into that demand factor when investing in LEGO sets, to see which sets are selling and which sets are not. And I can also do kind of an opposite video where we go over the top 5, the least most sold sets in Bricklink, to get an insight into which sets aren't selling, because demand is a massive factor when investing in LEGO, and Bricklink is just another source that we can gain that information from. But as I said, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.